all those years of, different late night shows, you're always one of my favorite people because you have this combination of amazing comedy brain, great physicality, and then energy, explosive energy. And you've got all three, and you would come on, and anytime you were going to be on the show, I got the night off. Jack's coming, and it's why you came in and you did the last show for me, because I was thinking, yeah, who else? This is the guy. This is the guy that needs to help put a bolt in the brain of this late night show I've been doing for 28 years.
And Zach Galifianakis wasn't available. Let's be honest.
No. He was hanging around. He was outside the stage door because we shot it at a theater. He was outside and he kept saying, we did a couple of those hangover movies. And I was like, Zach!
Sometimes people call me Jack Galifianakis because we're so they say I stole his beard, which is kind of true.
Yeah.
But here's what I want to say to you. It was such an honor that you chose me to be on your final episode. I almost cried right now just thinking about it. And I think back and I think, God dang it, I should have said these other things that I didn't say on the final episode. And I'm glad I'm here to get a chance to do it. But the meaningfulness of when I first came on your show, you were the first talk show I came on to in the national spotlight, and I was so fucking nervous. And I asked you, is it okay if I do a little skit? Because that's kind of my thing. I don't go on and just talk about myself and you were like, yes, you were so game. And you let me come on there, and with Kyle, we did a little musical number about replacing Andy Richter, which was just a joke because I love Andy Richter.
You auditioned, Andy's a sidekick, and you auditioned to replace him, and it was so fantastic. It was so funny, and you did so many great bits. We did one bit. It comes up all the time. People talk to me about it, which is funny because there's a lot of stuff over the years, and then there's certain things that capture people's imagination. There was once you and I decided who's the greater guitar god. And so we start playing guitar opposite each other, and then we're standing in front of in the performance area in the curtain, and you're playing, and then I'm playing, and then you're playing, and I'm playing, and then my playing starts to get off the hook, amazing, and then you get suspicious. And you pull the curtain away, and Slash is there.
Yeah.
And he's making the guitar sounds for me, and it killed so hard. It was such an amazing surprise. But I remembered, I believe that was your idea you came in with. And I was just like, that's a fantastic idea. And all we have to do is get Slash. And then we did. Yeah. Turns out he was in the commissary.
I think
Warner Brothers eating.
Maybe Smiley had something to do with that idea. I don't know who gets credit. That's not important who gets the credit.
Right. It was Tavis Smiley.
It was such a good idea that here we are 10 years later. There's still people doing that same joke. They got that from us.
Yeah.
I just saw it a week ago where it's like, oh, you got Slash hiding behind the curtain. I wonder where you got that idea. But, anyways.
The important thing is, we create vibrations, we pick up on vibrations, and we pass them on, and we receive them. Yeah. And then we sue the shit out of people.
That's right. And that was the funniest thing when I was on the farewell show, and I actually injured my ankle. What it actually, with a comedy bit was, I was coming out to perform the farewell song.
Yep.
And then in the middle of me singing this farewell song, I get so energetic and dancing, I injure myself.
Yes. Fake injure yourself.
Fake injure myself. Yes. And then the medics come in. The paramedics carry me out. And then I say, no, he needs me. This is too important.
And you kick open the back of the ambulance and come running back into the theater.
Come running.
That's it.
As we were doing the pre-tape of me kicking open the doors and running back in the theater, I injured my ankle for real.
For real, yes. And of course, I come running out. You're on the ground. It's my final late night show. And sometimes I look to a camera that's not there and do a take. It's just, that classic, something goes crazily wrong and the person just shoots the camera and looks into it. Where's my camera right now? Right there. It just goes, really? And I looked at a camera that wasn't there. And as you're writhing in pain, I should have been looking after you. But I just thought, it's my last show. Jack Black's, we got this great idea, and now you're injured. But and I thought, well, this isn't going to happen now. And it was a real injury.
Yeah, snap, crackle, pop. I heard it all.
And then you, like a hero, you got taped up, you got booted up.
I went to the actual like special ankle specialist who taped me up and put me in a cast and said, yeah, you're gonna be out of commission for a long time. You're not gonna be getting out of this cast for we don't know how long. It takes a long time for this kind of sprain. It wasn't a regular sprain. It was like where not the tendons, but the other things. I can't remember what the things are that were torn. And I said, yeah, but can I sing? And he's like, yeah, of course you can sing. I was like, okay, I'm going to go on Conan tomorrow then and do my bit. And it'll be very dramatic. I'll be a real hero.
Yeah.
When I come out there with my cast.
Was he like, Conan? Fuck, I love that guy. Fuck! I'm taking this cast off. Conan's the GOAT. Did he do that at all?
Something like that. I think it was like, oh yeah, Conan O'Brien. I know that. I know him. That'll be great.
Hey, pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same thing.
But he did say no dancing and jumping around though. Let's just keep it,
But you came on, you did it, you killed it. It meant the world to me. And what I just realized today, someone reminded me, and I was like, oh my God. But I did a big 10th anniversary show. So we started in 93. This would have been 2003. We did a 10th anniversary show, and it was a huge deal. And all my heroes came out for it. It was great. We did it, I think, at the Beacon Theater. And you did a song about the story of Conan, telling my story from the beginning in 93. And it was operatic, the highs, the lows. And I'm sure it's out there and you can watch it somewhere, and it's worth looking at because it's one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Because, you'd go through the initial beginning and then the hard times, and then everything's really going great. But then Andy Richter left and it was just, I was watching and I was like, why isn't this guy getting a Tony for this? Okay, we're not a Broadway show, but so many times you came and I'm not going to say hit a home run. It's like The Natural. You hit a home run, it hit the lights exploded, then it set off the Oppenheimer explosion. There's nothing I can do I can never thank you for all the nice things you've done for me.
Do you know what? That's a no-brainer, though. How am I not going to come out for the 10th anniversary? But in my mind, before that 10th anniversary, I'm thinking, this is going to be a bomb. This is not going to go well. I will be bad. And I just surrender myself to that. And I go in with a fight or flight kind of adrenaline. And that's how it is every time. I go in going, oh, fuck, this is terrifying. And then I get out there and it's not always. Sometimes it goes great. And I feel like, I've got it. I'll never forget this feeling. And then, a week later, I have to go do another thing. I'm terrified again.
No,
it's the ups and downs of the...
This is something I talk about a lot because I want people to understand. And I get fooled because I do this about everything. And then, Sona, you've seen me for years go through it, and Blay, you've seen me go through it. It's I get morose. I really try and prepare and think. I'm convinced this, then I panic. There's just a lot of misery involved. But then if you can catch the wave right, you have this great revelation, this nice moment, and then you're right back. It lasts, I can't believe it lasts for it's like those Viagra ads. If it lasts longer than 6 hours, you're in trouble. It just doesn't last. It goes. And I am fooled because I think, okay, I know that happens to me, but I would guess it would. I know I'm wrong, but I would have said wouldn't happen to Jack Black.
Absolutely happens to me.
I don't see you ever failing. I just don't see it.
In fact, I feel my most confident, weirdly, after a bad performance or something that I didn't have fun at, and I think in my mind, the next time I get up in front of a camera or on stage, I'm going to make up for that shitty one I just did. I don't know why that's always where I feel most comfortable, in the defensive crouch right after a bad one, when it's like, okay, this is the redemption. So I have that up and down of performance, and that goes across the board. But I wanted to say what I forgot that I should have said on the farewell episode that you had me come and guest on, is that the very first time you had me on 20 years before, I had this amazing experience on national television with you, and your embrace of my adventurous spirit and your adventurous spirit was such a great way to kick off my journey. And then I looked over at other comedians and other performers and actors that had the same experience. Like, that's the first time I saw Amy Poehler when she came on your show as like the little sister, Andy Richter's little sister with those braces on. I was like, who the fuck is that? This is some kind of a crazy performance from someone that's just getting shot out of a cannon. I'd never seen her before.
Yeah.
And I know that you've done that for tons of performers and comedians over the decades. And I just thought, what an amazing person you are to be at the threshold of the industry in a way for all these new, young alternative.
That's very sweet. I think I always think that we were very lucky in the timing. We were in the right place, and there was all this young talent coming up, and I get giddy around talented people. We just had so much fun. It was so much fun. It's nice all these years later, just judging by your beard, that I think you're 88.
I did have a very old-looking beard.
And
there's more salt than pepper, as they say.
And I, served our country valiantly in the Korean War and have the shrapnel to show for it. But all this time later, I'm still having fun. Like it's you come in and we're just right back to the same idiocy, which is so magical.
Yeah. It is the secret sauce, but the secret behind the secret sauce is, how do you have fun under the circumstances of pressure? Like, now there's a microphone here, it's recording everything we say, there's a certain amount of pressure there, people are going to be listening to it and watching it later, and finding that relaxation pocket, because you can't really have fun if you're not relaxed on some level, right?
Well, I learned a long time ago with the TV show and with this, that just has to go away. One of the things that helps so much with the podcast is, after all this time and everything I've been through, the podcast just felt like, and still feels like, a safe space where I'm just having fun with my friends, and it doesn't feel like, hey man, come on, okay, let's go, come on, here comes Jack's coming in.
Because we don't even put these out.
I don't, trust me. Nor should you. And they hire actors occasionally on the street. I just got back from Europe, and so many people were like, I love the podcast, and I was thinking, you're just hiring actors.
Yeah.
And they get my name, Conan. No. Tell Mitt and Sanya that they do a great job. It's like, get the names right at least if you're. But
do you agree with my relaxation theory?
Yes, I agree with your theory that
so you're saying the secret behind the secret is just let that shit go.
You have
the nervousness.
No. The nervousness is beforehand.
Right.
I think all of that. I believe in that. I believe in. Sadly, I believe in the terror. I believe in the process of questioning yourself, of some self-loathing. I'm sorry, but I just believe in it. It's worked for me. And also, it doesn't matter if it's worked for me or not. It's just what happens. But then, if I get out there and I connect with the crowd, or we get in here and we start talking some shit about anything, all of that goes away.
You know what I think about sometimes when I have a bad show that I'm not having and it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It just means that I'm not having fun.
You didn't feel good.
So I think if I didn't have fun, then it wasn't good, which isn't necessarily the truth. But after a show where I'm not having fun and I feel like it went bad, I'll go, okay, this is my adjustment. The very next show, when I go out there, I'm not going to care so much if it's good or bad, because that's the thing that fucked me up, is I was so worried about it being bad that I didn't just let it be. So that's oftentimes my mental adjustment is like, kind of throw it away a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of phone it in a little bit, weirdly. And
I liked how you looked side to side.
It's such a horrible thing to say. Phone it in.
But it was such a cartoonish side to side.
You look like you're checking if you're in trouble.
Well, he also looked right at me, and I phone it in all the time.
You phone it up.
She built a career.
Phone it in.
And you know what? I've been to her house, and it's paid for by phoning it in.
Yeah.
And
the house is all phones. There's
all
phones on every wall.
I felt like you were talking directly to me because that is my approach.
No. And you know, it's so funny. We had, I'll never forget, but one of the magical things about Sona is that she doesn't change no matter how the circumstances change. So Sona met her, hired her to be my assistant. There was never any intention for any of this. Years go by, we have this dynamic, this interplay. Me, really hardworking,
what the fuck?
very capable, trying hard to
delusional.
Sona not giving a shit, and it always just worked. There's this is weird. So then once Kumail Nanjiani, who was going to be on the show, who I love, it wasn't his fault. He wasn't able to get to the show because they changed his shooting schedule and he couldn't come. And we heard at the last second, someone said, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I said, we're just going to bring Sona out. We brought Sona out. Sona was great, but what made her great is she didn't care. And you take any other person and say, big star didn't come, but you're going to do it. And they get in their head and they become someone else. There's that famous concept in science that the minute you observe anything, it changes it. The minute you try and observe a particle, the minute you try and observe anything in nature.
Quantum weirdness.
Yes, you would.
I love that.
You change it by the very fact that you're observing it.
Schrodinger's cat. I didn't just make that up. Quantum weirdness.
It's true. But you know what? But you know what? No, it's true. It's a real thing. But there's one exception that proves every rule. It doesn't happen to Sona. And we go out and we do these shows now that the podcast has become a thing in front of there'll be 3,000 people in the crowd or 2,500 people in the crowd. And it's sold out. It's a big venue. And Sona's like, hey, what's going on? And then what's the greatest thing is so she'll do it and then it's over. And the rest of us are like, I think that was a really good show. And she's like, I'm hungry. I'm going to Taco Bell.
Maybe.
Oh, look, a cookie.
Taco Bell?
Whatever.
Can we go to Taco Bell?
We have a bunch of things in common, but we have one thing in common, I believe, which is we both were stupid enough to get on a water buffalo. Is that true?
Oh my God, yeah. On Tropic Thunder with Ben Stiller's film, yeah.
On Tropic Thunder, and I once for an animal segment, and I've told people this, but I jumped onto a water buffalo, and it was without thinking, but they had animals there, and then they brought in a massive, literally the size of this table that we're at right now, this podcast table, this massive beast, and someone who wasn't in a position of authority said, hey, Conan, this is at rehearsal. Get on it. That could be funny. And I'm just a chimp. I'm a yes and chimp. So I went, okay. And someone brought out an apple box and I jumped on the apple box and no one had, and all I remember is just before I did it, Andy said, don't do that. I remembered Andy really clearly going, don't do that. And he said it and I was like, gotta do it. Because an intern said, try it. So I get on the water buffalo. The water buffalo immediately throws me off. I go up in the air and I land on a poured, cameras have to roll in a TV studio. So it's a poured thick concrete that's smooth, that's very dense. Ooh. I bounce off my hip. And that wasn't even the scary part. It hurt like a motherfucker, but the water buffalo took off. I felt bad for the water buffalo right up until I killed it. No, I'm kidding. Well, I had to shoot it. No, it took off and took a turn and looked at me, and I ran like a cartoon character runs. Like literally, I just disappeared, and there was smoke and some hairpins, and then and then I got a hematoma on my hip that was so big I couldn't take my pants off. And I thought, well, I think I'm probably the only person in comedy dumb enough to get on a water buffalo. And then I find out Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
Did you end up doing it?
Very similar circumstance. But I have to ask, I wasn't listening to the premise. Why was there a water buffalo on the set?
animal segment. We did them all the time. It's a talk show staple. So they bring in like, here's a cobra, here's a this, here's a that. And no one had ever brought in a water buffalo.
And this is just rehearsal.
This is rehearsal.
Cameras are not rolling.
No. And so they brought this thing in and I just was intrigued. Like, well, I've been doing this for 28 years. Never seen a water buffalo. Get on it.
I feel like there is footage of this. Someone was taping. No one. Are you sure?
I think we might have had
a camera there. It's a camera rehearsal.
There's a camera, but you know what the problem is? I think we've looked at the footage and you can't really tell what's happening
You
because
can just see the very beginning as you're getting on it.
You can see as I'm getting on it, and then because they weren't ready to shoot it yet,
right?
They weren't on me. You can kind of see. It's like if Abraham Zapruder had been shooting, in Dealey Plaza, had been like looking at a bird or something when Kennedy went by. And then you can kind of see a little piece of limousine.
But the fact that there's footage of you just about to get on makes me feel like the cameraman maybe sensed this could go bad. I better not film this just in case this goes sideways, which the instinct should have been the opposite. This could go bad. I'm going to keep rolling on that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
I don't know what happened
I think it's a humanity thing where the cameraman is like, I have to look away from this. I'm turning it off. No one's going to see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind if it existed because I think I really bounced.
This was in the era of America's Funniest Home Videos.
Yeah,
too,
they could have put a boing on it.
But before TikTok, so, there's no money in keeping the camera.
It's like, wait a second, Conan's about to get on a water buffalo and you turn it off.
So what was your experience?
So I had a similar experience. We're on...
This is like a campfire story.
We're in Hawaii. We're recreating Southeast Asia. We're supposed to be in Vietnam, out in the middle of nowhere. And in the middle of Hawaii, you wouldn't know. It's got a jungly vibes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And so I'm on the back of this water buffalo. They assure me that it's safe, and they're they've got the animal trainers on these movies. You had an animal trainer there. You have to. It's part of the union rules. And
sure, we did.
And I'm afraid of dogs. I'm afraid of animals because it's my natural fear of the unpredictability of the animal kingdom. You don't know what they're going to do, but I had been assured everything's cool. So I got on the back of it, and I'm supposed to come around the bend on this mountain path, and I'm just in my underpants, and I think I'm strapped to the buffalo because I'm like going through drug withdrawals at the same time. So I'm a sweaty mess. And the buffalo, I can tell, is just a little bit uncomfortable. And they say, action. And we start moving. And I'm like, uh-oh, what's happening here? Maybe it sensed my fear, but it was uncomfortable. And it just started bucking bronco. And I was like, ah! And I flew off of that thing. And I went ass over tea kettle, I think, because there's no footage of it, just like you.
Yeah.
But we hadn't entered frame yet. Like we were right behind the mountain. We were coming around. And I flew and did a little flip-de-doo and landed miraculously between two boulders and did not get injured at all. I did not have a hematoma. I just sort of had this miraculous safe landing. And Ben I could hear him off in the distance say, "What's going on? Are we cutting? Let's take it. Jack, take it from the top. We didn't get any of that." I was like, "No, you take it from the top. You get on that fucking buffalo." Because I had so much adrenaline inside me. I thought I was good. I saw my life flash before my eyes.
Of course.
And then I stormed off to my trailer just because I was like shaking and like not in any mood to be in the movie anymore. And
or any movie ever again.
So my stuntman, Jimmy Waitman, hero that he is, suited up and got on the back of they went ahead with the rest of those shots from that scene with my stuntman, and also Robert Downey Jr. was like soothing the beast and calming the beast. And later on, not months later, like weeks later, I don't remember how long after that event took place. Mm-hmm. Someone said, "Jack, you know what we found out? That water buffalo was pregnant. No one knew it had a baby inside, and that's why it was freaking out." because it was uncomfortable. And I was like, fuck me, man. There's got to be a way they should know that before they put me on the back of a gigantic power beast. And then at the premiere, someone was there that said, you know what they named the baby? Named him Jack. And I was like, that's the sweetest thing. It kind of made it worth it. And I never...
No, it didn't.
I would like
we were almost killed.
I would like to meet Jack. I wonder if Jack is...
Well, I've got a surprise for you.
Let's bring him in.
Open up that whole wall. What do you mean it doesn't open? I brought Jack the Water Buffalo 8,000 miles. We got to fix it so this wall opens and we can bring people what they're talking about. God damn it, I hate this place. During COVID, you did us all, you did not just a national service, an international service. You made these TikTok videos that were so funny and great. You were, I would say 90% of the time, mostly nude.
Yeah.
But you sort of gave of yourself during that time, and you did such funny videos. And I gotta peek behind the curtains because I thought, this is Jack in his home as he is, probably mostly walking around with little clothing, you know? And you were hilarious. You were fantastic. Those were great.
That was an opportunity to bring some cheer into a dark time. And I saw a little window, and I had my social media guru, Taylor Stevens, who I called up and I was like, yeah, let's do some little comedy nuggets on Instagram about how did it start? Did it start with, I think we did like a mask one about wearing the mask and about getting the vaccination or stuff around that time that was just sort of seemed like public service announcements, right. But funny. And then I just heard that song, or I saw on Instagram the WAP dance, the wet ass pussy.
What do you mean? It's the name of it's not. It's the name of the song, and you shouldn't be ashamed to say it.
I know, but it's it's explicit. It's got the E symbol on it, and she, what's her name again? This incredible artist that came
Megan
up.
Is it Thee Stallion?
Nope, not Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh,
It's gonna. Thank you, Cardi B.
Cardi B.
And it had kind of a momentum of its own where people were doing. It was a challenge. Who can do the best WAP dance? And I was like, dude, it would be funny if I do the WAP dance and we get me in the backyard in some Speedos just whopping it up. And he was like, I'm on my way. And he came over.
He came over like it was a medical emergency. You know what I love?
No.
I think there are times when a comedy writer or producer should have a siren that they put on the top of their car.
Yeah.
Woo, woo, woo. And if a policeman stops him, hey, I got to get to Jack Black's house. We're going to do the wet ass pussy song. Right this way. I'll be an escort.
It's funny, but it's true. You got to get them while they're hot. When you get a little nugget, because they're almost like nuggets that are floating around in the ether, and someone's going to do it. It's a funny thing that's going to happen. And so Taylor, he zipped over, and my son was spraying the hose on me, and he just filmed it, and then he put the music on later, so it was high quality. You don't want to just. There's some technical magic that went into that. And it went so crazy, like better than anything I'd ever put on Instagram before, that he came up with a thing like, let's keep this party flowing.
Sure.
Let's get you up. Because the Marvel was going at full speed at the time. All the Marvel superhero movies were just automatic billion each. So we were like, let's mess with that whole thing. And we did. We went through basically their whole catalog.
Yes.
All their greatest heroes got lambasted by my...
Lambasted.
Thank you. Lambasted by my...
you did Spiderman.
I did... Ironman.
What the hell was that?
Oh, my God.
What?
That's
Eduardo.
I think Eduardo was hoping I was going to...
Eduardo, what were you doing?
I was bringing up the video. I was bringing up the video to
see it as he was talking about it because
But why did we hear that blast of sound?
Because I didn't because I have the computer connected to the.
Eduardo, you were paid hundreds of dollars a week to not make those mistakes.
I thought about putting it up on the screen for you guys to watch while he was talking about, but I decided not to.
It's the most complimentary mistake you could make, Eduardo. That while we were talking, you were like, I gotta see this. Let me make sure. Oh my God, that's right. That was.
When Zach wrote that part for you, I mean, did he let you know that he's writing it for you? Did he let you know, like, you're going to act in my show? And how did you feel?
Well, when he first called me about it, he just left me a voicemail, and I couldn't tell I thought maybe he was going to do a late night appearance and wanted me to do a bit with him, because he had asked me to do that before. Mm-hmm. And I said no, because it seemed embarrassing. Zach loves being embarrassed. Like, he thinks it's funny if he looks ridiculous. Yeah. And I don't have the healthy inner self-esteem that he has. So that's what I thought it was. And then when we finally talked, he said, it's a pilot for FX. I'm going to play a rodeo clown who lives in a motel in Bakersfield. I would like you to play my personal assistant. And I thought, like, and I said, like, well, I don't think I can act. Like, if it's, you know, I had a couple of meetings with casting directors after in 2002 I did Montreal, and it went well.
Another comedy festival that people get jobs from.
Yeah, and then I had meetings with casting directors, and it was terrible. And I was like, I'm going to freeze up like I did for that. I'm not going to be able to do this. And he said, it doesn't matter. It's not important. It's just fun. Just say your lines like you would say anything as yourself. And I was like, I'm still not going to be able to do it, but at least it would be a little bit of, again, it would be money. And I knew Zach, if he had to fire me, he would be as kind as possible about it. And I thought, I have to try it. I can't not try it.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. Yeah. And then when they got the order for the rest of the season, it was like, but it changed into being a Costco car insurance person, not his, because it didn't make sense for a rodeo clown to have a personal assistant.
Well, the show didn't make sense. So,
it didn't really.
It would have been fine, but you know, yeah.
But it was like just getting to spend hours a day sitting next to Zach.
Yes.
Just always feeling, he's always like emotionally balanced person to be with, in addition to being super funny.
Yeah.
So it was a combination of like, I always feel relaxed and safe with him, and he makes me laugh all the time.
Yeah.
And
he's truly he's a magical person. I love him so much.
Me too.
Yeah.
He's
and I
great.
love being around him, and you know, we've gotten to be friends over the years. Like, you know, I don't do anything. I don't go out with anyone, but I go out to dinner with Zach, you know, like just because I love him so much.
He's a dear person.
Yeah.
For sure.
Very special too.
Yeah.
Garden State felt like, I'm trying to think of the chronology, because has Scrubs ended completely when you do Garden State?
No, I was very young. It was I think after the second or third season of Scrubs, because my first hiatus from Scrubs, I was in a production of Twelfth Night at the Delacorte, Shakespeare in the Park in New York, which had always been a dream of mine. And then I remember while being there writing Natalie Portman a letter, because she was my first choice. I didn't ever think she'd say yes, but she was like the archetype of who I pictured.
Sure, yeah.
And I knew that she had done The Seagull there, so I thought, this will be a good angle. I'm sitting in the same dressing room where she once sat, and I'll write her a very personal note to saying, please consider the script. And then she said yes over that season 2. So it may have been after season 2 or 3, I forgot. But we shot in 2003, whatever that was.
I mean, first of all, getting Natalie Portman, and this is your directorial debut.
Yeah, and I'm young, very young.
Very young. And I remembered at the time it being, you're stepping out of your comfort zone to say, like, I'm on this successful sitcom.
Yeah.
Everyone knows me as this guy, as this character, but I am going to make this movie.
Yeah, and it's something that's very vulnerable, saying like, "Hey, here are the things I've dealt with. Here are." I mean, I had so much chutzpah when I think back. I didn't know what I didn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's another gift too.
It is.
Is to be. Were I to get in a time machine now, knowing everything I know, and someone said, "Okay, it's 1993. What you're going to do is," I'd say, "No." That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
No, and that's going to be painful and awful, and I'm going to get knocked around. And no,
Yeah.
I'm just going to stay right here in this armchair.
Yeah.
Because it's great not to know.
Yeah, I didn't know anything.
It's a superpower.
It's a superpower. That's a great way to put it. And so, and amazing things happened. I mean, it became no one wanted to fund it at first. No one knew. It was a sort of different kind of screenplay where the third act should go. The character just go off on a quest for a piece of jewelry we've never heard about.
Right.
It didn't really follow I was being a little bit brave with structure, and so it was hard to find someone to make it. And then I did, and then we had a really meaningful Sundance sale, and then it went on to become really successful.
How terrified, it all worked out so well, but how terrified, just knowing you, how scared were you? I always try to delineate, I've never been in this film business. I've always been in let's get in there, think of a couple of ideas. Okay, these seem pretty good. Let's get out there and do it. Bang! Crowd seemed to like it. Let's go. What's the next one? Or crowd didn't like it. Well, we'll get them tomorrow.
Yeah.
And this idea that you're putting that much time and so much of yourself into something, and you're so young, and then it's coming out.
Yeah.
It's coming out. How scary must it be?
It was terrifying. But I feel the same way now. I have a new movie coming out. You're so vulnerable. But what else can you do? I mean, I think when you choose this career, it's like what else are you going to do? You have to do it. You have to make stuff and go, okay, here world. But in the spirit of not knowing what I didn't know, I'd never put myself out there. Scrubs, I was hiding behind the great Bill Lawrence. I just did what he said to do and improv some jokes, and it worked. But he was the face of it.
Right.
I mean, in Hollywood at least. Garden State was the first time saying, "Hey world, these are some of my thoughts and feelings.
Right.
Love them or hate them," and so that's terrifying.
Yeah, you said, "Hey, now you're going to listen to me." See.
No, you say, "Hey, please, maybe look at this."
No, but I remember at the time you doing a lot of interviews. You saying, "Now you're all going to listen to me." See. And you had a big cigar.
No, you're thinking of somebody else.
I'm thinking of Guys and Dolls.
You're thinking of whenever they do like old like movies parodies. They're like, "I had a pound you."
Explain your fascination. Not that you need to explain it, because it makes sense to me. But I want to talk to you about Denzel Washington, because you've devoted a chunk of your life to Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
And yes, an incredible actor, a very good.
Yes, an incredible actor. Yes. Yeah, Michael Jordan, pretty good at basketball.
I didn't say pretty good.
You said incredible, but like you said, yes, an incredible actor.
Well, yes, I'm just saying, but there are, what is it about Denzel Washington specifically?
Well, me and my friend Kevin Avery, who's also a comedy writer and actor, had a podcast for years called Denzel Washington is the greatest actor of all time, period.
Okay.
Because we felt we needed to declare that he was the greatest actor of all time, period, because he clearly is, and he did not get the respect at the time. So I just think that, it feels weird. Like, why is chocolate delicious? I don't know, Conan. It's
well, I don't like chocolate. Yeah, very off-putting.
You're the weird one. You're the weird one. Yeah.
That's stupid.
I love that Sona tried to gasp, and it just sounded like you were one of those people that has a hole in their throat.
Come on.
You went. It just sounded like a tea kettle that had no water in it.
I'm like Debbie from the smoking commercial.
There you go.
With the hole in her throat.
Oh, that's what you are.
There you go.
We
figured it out.
Years.
Can you just say I smoked for 20 years?
I smoked for 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was.
Oh, that's a good laugh.
Very young.
Terrible cancer. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Well, I hope you're happy.
I'm just saying I sound like Debbie.
Yeah, I think it's terrible.
Okay.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Has Denzel ever been on the podcast?
He has not. I don't think I've ever met.
Podcast.
That's one of the things I like about him. He doesn't do any of the.
It doesn't need to. I mean,
no, he's at that last era of actor who doesn't have to have social media. Doesn't have to. He doesn't even when he wins awards. He's not that impressed with.
He does a lot of game shows.
He does a lot. He's the new host of Family Feud. He's taking over for Steve Harvey. But he's only going to do
I'm
it.
Just picturing, he has so much class and dignity. I'm just picturing him like doing stuff on Nickelodeon, getting slimed, and being like, "This is what you got to do.
He has
got to get the word out on the enforcer or whatever." I don't know.
Equalizer.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right.
No, I just think I think me and my friend Kevin would realize that we were talking about Denzel a lot, and we realized that like we didn't hear other people talking about him as much, and we just felt like nobody ever thinks of him as being one of the. I mean, maybe he's not the greatest, but nobody thinks of him as being among the greatest actors of all time period.
But he gets respect. I'm thinking I feel like Denzel Washington gets a lot of respect. No?
But whenever you talk about the greatest actors, there's like a sort of a crew of like De Niro and Pacino and DiCaprio, all the O actors.
Well, yeah.
He's more consistent than all three of them.
Yes, and has been and he's still a box office draw, even though he's like he's getting up there. But he's like, and I think the issue that he has had is because of Hollywood and the racism of Hollywood, that he's not seen as being in that same lane. And so I feel like we were just like, we need to claim him and also give him his flowers before he passes, because when he goes away, there's going to be like a ton of like, he's the greatest thing. But I felt like I would like him to hear it now, even though it was embarrassing when I found out he had heard about the podcast.
Oh, he really? Did hear about it.
Yeah. Well, so first Kevin met him at some event in LA. And at that point I had my first TV show. So Kevin was like, "Oh yeah, me and my friend Debbie Kamabell have a podcast about you." He goes, "Debbie Kamabell, that's that brother that's always talking about me on the internet." Which I was like,
"Oh, wow!"
Felt a little like he was accusing me, like, "Don't show up at my house." Like, yeah. Kevin said he didn't. He just seemed like, "Oh yeah, we've put him on our list. Like we know that he's." And then I got to go to his the AFI tribute to Denzel Washington, and they invited me to it. So I was like, "Well, at least I'm not on the bad list." And and my wife's like, "You have to meet him. You have to go meet him." And I was like, "I just can't. I feel weird. I did this podcast. I wasn't doing the podcast anymore, but I felt weird about it. I can't go talk to." And she's like, "You have to." And so she literally like picked me up, not literally picked me up because she's not bigger than me, but she's like, "We have to go." So she escorted me over. It was during a break, and like Julia Roberts is there, Spike Lee is there. It's like all these famous people, and I'm walking over in this rented tuxedo, and Denzel is talking to Spike Lee, and I'm sort of standing over there, and Spike Lee looks at me, who I've met before, and then Spike Lee says something to Denzel, and this woman who's a journalist says something to Denzel like, "This is," and Denzel looks at me and looks at Spike Lee. I don't know if I can say this on the Conan O'Brien podcast, what he said.
Sure, go for it. You can say anything.
Denzel looks at me and goes, "My nigga."
Oh.
That's cool.
First time that's been said on this podcast.
I was going to say, yeah, not since the Harrison Ford episode.
Yeah, I don't know why it was said so often on that podcast.
No, it was so weird. Yeah, that's when I started paying attention. And like Vince stands up and said, like he actually said, and I don't know if he still feels the same way, but in that moment he's like, "I love you." Because at that point I was doing United Shades of America, and so I think he really started to understand me through that show, not through the sycophantic podcast. And then I wept, and that's
really nice. I like that story.
It's great. It's sort of when I tell it, I feel a little embarrassed even telling.
Well,
it.
I think it's a
except
great
for the nigger part. I was really excited to say that in front of this room full of people.
That's 2 times now.
Well, you said I could say it, so now I'm gonna say it all the time. And now I'm gonna invite everybody to say it.
You should phone
1, 2.
I've never seen a room clear out that fast.
My voice is gone.
Oh, nice!
That's my move.
Someone's like, "My voice is coming back." Ah!
Sona might have said it a couple times today, and we wouldn't have heard it. It just sounded like a little burp.
Just to be clear for everybody listening on YouTube, that's with the A, the soft A, not the hard ER. It's the rap version.
It's this part of the book that is hard to believe, but you're doing theater and you're auditioning, trying to get these different roles, and you're getting by, but a huge part of auditioning is disappointment. So you audition for Orange is the New Black, haven't heard back yet, and you decide, I think I'm out. I think I'm done. So you decided more or less to quit.
Yes.
And then you get the phone call. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct. And it was also, by the way, the first time I'd ever quit. I have never quit anything before. And I'd never quit this, more specifically, acting. I had, doubted, I have questioned, I have been exhausted, but I've never in my mind been like, I'm done. And it was a Friday, and I was just wasted, I had been auditioning for film and television the whole summer, exclusively. I saw my bank account disappearing, gone pretty much. And just kept hearing no after no after no. And I had made it up in my mind. I was on Monday going to call my agent and call my manager and tell them that I was going to go to law school. I'm good.
The ultimate humiliation. And cheap.
Right. But I now, I was like...
Can you imagine there are lawyers listening right now? They're like, damn it! I had hung you in another day.
Yeah, right? But I did. I was like, legit, that was what I was going to do. I called my sister, Chi-Chi. I ordered some wine. I ordered some sushi. And we were going to be an I'm out party. And then 5:45 p.m. on the nose. Oh, and my phone rang. And it was my team saying, hi, how are you? I was like, I'm good. How are you? And they're like, remember that audition you went on for that show, Orange is the New Black? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, you remember the part you went out for? Because it was a different part. I was like, yeah, I remember. And they're like, well, you didn't get it. I was like, I'm leaving at the right time now that agents are calling you to tell you when you don't get jobs.
This is a new part of our service, but you failed, and we want to talk about it for 40 minutes.
And I was like, okay. And they were like, but they'd like to offer you another role. And I was like, wow. And I'd never done anything on TV. It was wild. And I was just like, this is crazy. And I definitely did not know at all, for real, that was going to change my life in any way. I knew that it kept me in, but I had no idea that it was going to do anything.
You talk about this in the book. So you get the role of Crazy Eyes, and the time between you getting that role, I think it's within a year, maybe less, between getting that role and sitting at the Emmys nominated.
Yes.
When you hear your name.
Yes.
As the winner.
Yes.
That's
crazy.
That's fantastic. And who gives you the Emmy?
Morgan Freeman.
Oh my God.
Morgan Freeman. It was wild. I was walking up there, and I was for some reason listing his resume, and I was like, Glory, Bruce Almighty. I was driving this dude. You know what I mean? Shawshank Redemption, a favorite. I was just going.
Yeah.
This guy's amazing.
Yeah. And he was just handing it to you. We started talking about the life cycle of the penguin. No, Morgan, no.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, it's such a funny thing about this business, but there's, talk about, famine and then feast. It's just, there are long periods or stretches of disappointment and misery. And then I'm always reminded of, there's this movie that was made, I believe in the 1950s, and it's one of the later Humphrey Bogart movies. Humphrey Bogart, Katharine Hepburn. It's a great movie called The African Queen, and it's about it takes place in the beginning of World War I, and they're trying to make their way down this river because they have this idea that to accomplish this mission together, and they're in this tiny little boat, and it's impossible odds, and they're going and they're going and they're going, and then finally, and John Huston directed this movie. It's brilliant, and there's this scene that just resonates with me so many times where they're pretty much the river has gotten really low, And so Humphrey Bogart is pulling them through the river, and he's covered in leeches. And then finally the weeds just get too thick, and they feel like we'll never get to the main river. We're going to die here. And they resign that it's over, and they get back in the boat, and he takes the leeches off of them, peels them off, and then they just cover under a blanket, and they've lost. And the camera pans up, and you can see that they're about 20 feet from the river. And that always hits me. That has happened to me so many times in my life where I didn't know how close I was. And what happens is overnight it rains and their boat just floats onto the river. But I think about that, just that image a lot, which is you got close to saying, well, this isn't going to happen. And if you could pan up, you'd say like, no, you are, you are seconds from being there. You just didn't know.
A, needed that message. B, thank you. Yes, like I didn't. I really didn't. Like, I felt like all the time that I had put into this thing that I loved, and I love it, I really love it. I love it still, and to not feel like I could was getting to do it, you know what I mean? Was really tough to wrestle with and make peace with. And I didn't want and I've said this since the beginning, I'm like, the minute, and I do mean the exact minute that I no longer enjoy this, I will go find something else to do. And I was just feeling like this fear and this worry really that I couldn't love this. I couldn't, I wasn't loving this idea of just trying to make something happen that maybe God, the universe, or energy, whatever we're calling it, was telling me very clearly, like, no, this is not for me. And then, when that happened, it made me think of that quote from The Godfather. It's like, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in, and I tried to get out, and it was like, no, you're supposed to be doing this. It came like right in the minute that I needed it to happen. Like I said, and it was not something that I had any expectation of other than the 2 to 3 episodes that I was asked to come on to do. Yeah. And that felt like enough when I got them too. Like when I did 2 episodes, I was like, that was enough. And they're like, we're going to see you back. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get to do that 3rd episode. Awesome. You know what I mean? Like, and I was cool with that. It was like, it was totally enough. And then it became more than enough. And I was like, wow.
Right.
Like, just blown away.
Then what really happens in the showbiz cycle is then nothing becomes enough. What? You call this first class? I can't lie down completely. There is a sick thing I've witnessed. God bless it, it's never happened to me. Sona, more tea, please. Usually when I hear I'm going to talk to somebody and they've written a book, I get this feeling of apprehension, which is, I got to read the book. And they booked you, and I'm very excited. And then I hear Stephen wrote a novel, and I'm immediately very intrigued. So I get sent this copy of Harold, which is this novel you wrote, and it's beautiful. It's really funny and touching. It's beautifully written. I think only you could write this, and I love it. I really do. And it was such a nice thing for me to read the book and then know I get to go and drive in and tell Stephen, you got here a little early and I heard you were hanging out outside like a creep. But I was so excited. I had the book and I wanted to go down and I need to tell you how much I like your book.
I really appreciate it.
And it's funny because you mentioned Vonnegut, and I'm like, I can feel like there's different strains. Like you say, there's a soup, but I can see like Joseph Heller and Vonnegut. But it's very sweet and also at times sad, and there's such funny stuff in here. And it's all from the mind of an 8-year-old, 7 or 8.
7.
Yeah. I didn't read it that thoroughly. I just skimmed to get it. I just skimmed to get his age. I'm very good at it. I'm pretty, that's the one thing I will read is the age. No, but I was... I think 8 would have been the better choice, but that's my stew brain versus your consommé brain.
No, my broth brain.
But first of all, one of the first things that struck me because I'm so obsessed with myself is I read this. I read this thing at the front by the editor of the book from Simon & Schuster, who's clearly a big deal editor, and he's talking about how he stumbled upon you doing a set on my show, an interview on my show.
Oh, yes.
And he talks about how this is why it all comes together. He talks about how he's always been a fan of yours. And then he says here at the top of the book, he's starting to think about, what could I do with Stephen Wright? And then he said, I had only started my job, I guess it's Simon & Schuster, and I was spending a lot of time searching the internet, trying to come up with book ideas. I can't remember what weird YouTube algorithm led me to it, but I came across a clip of Stephen Wright on Conan O'Brien's late night show back in 2013 when he talked about writing a novel on Twitter, posting one sentence at a time. How long is the novel by now, Conan asked. 1,500 pages, Wright said. 1,500 pages, Conan said. And then you say, if there's one word on each page. And then I guess he thought, I got to check this out. So he went on Twitter and you really were doing that. And then he starts talking to you and you guys form a friendship and you do this book. So I was just thrilled that...
That's amazing, the connection.
Yeah.
It's tremendous.
Yeah. You would also think there might be a little financial sharing in here. But we'll talk about that later. You'll hear...
No, I love that. I love that he saw that
But I
clip.
love the serendipity of... You do this joke, this guy sees that, then you start talking, then this book comes along. And this book is really special because it's a boy and he's growing up in, you'd say, the mid-60s, and he's in a classroom and he's daydreaming and thinking, throughout the class. And his mind is taking him all around the universe. He talks about hanging out with his grandfather. And in there are great, I don't want to call them jokes, but really good, profound observations. And they're all very much the way a kid would think. And you have this idea about what if people were like trees and that they just kept getting taller as they got older. And I'd be walking down the street as an 7-year-old boy, and I'd see an 80-year-old woman, and she's 45 feet tall. and you have this conversation with her, and I'm just tickled. And then there's so many sweet things that happen in it, and it's almost also has some sort of a James Joyce quality because it's all happening in a very constrained period of time, but also the time is infinite because if you're daydreaming, a billion things can happen in 45 minutes.
Yeah, he's in the class and he's daydreaming, he's thinking about dreams he's had, he's thinking about experiences that he's thinking of memories, and it all is in one day. And in the class, it's great that you like it so much.
I love it. How much of it is you, or do you not want to say?
A lot of it. I think you can't write anything be completely made up. The thing is, when I was writing it on Twitter, I wrote like half a page on there. Then I stopped, and then I didn't write it for like a year. And then I thought that thing, I should keep writing it and just keep going. But I didn't put it on Twitter, so I just kept going. And, the jokes I do are like, creatively, it's like going through a narrow window, a couple sentences, 2-3 sentences, and hopefully the audience laughs, okay, and I'm not complaining, I'm just describing it. But I had a lot of things in my mind that wouldn't go through that window to just be a couple-liner joke. So I essentially used Harold's head. It's like I put a funnel on his head. And I poured into that funnel everything I think about being alive. Yeah. Religion and war and authority and the universe and is there a God? That's all the way
That's
through
repeated
there.
all the way through the book.
Yeah.
Is God willing if there's a God? I hope God, if there's a God. So you're constantly questioning that throughout.
yeah, it was a great. I didn't even know I had all this in my head, but it was a whole other way to create. It wasn't jokes, and I liked writing it. It wasn't a burden. I never got like, oh, when is it going to be done? Oh, no one was waiting for it. I had no book or deal or anything. Again, it was like playing. Like when you were joking, you were joking with the thing outside, and they said, oh, we should use that as a bit. So I would just try to write a little bit of it every day. And then coffee, I have to thank coffee because my mind goes insane on coffee. And I would drink the coffee, and I had like a 2-hour window where I would just, it became a little world that I would go to. And I tried not to think about how is this going to be received? What are they going to think?
Right.
I was just like playing. Oh.
The comedy I've always loved the most is when the person providing it doesn't need to please me.
When I first started writing it, I realized there was no story. And then I thought, I can't keep this. There's no story. And then I thought, I don't know how. So I stopped for a year. I thought, I don't know how to write a story. I don't know how. Yeah. And then I thought, a year later, I thought, so what? I want to just write it anyway.
Right,
so it's not like this happened and then this happened and then he did and then because of that. Yeah. So I just accepted that I didn't know how to write a story. So that's just went.
The other thing I love is Harold's voice, very much like your voice, but I'm imagining you as a kid. But there's a great thing where his teacher is prominent because she's running the class the whole time. Harold is thinking all these incredible things and having these journeys in his mind. And every now and at one point he remembers a time that she came up and looked at what he was drawing, at what Harold was drawing, and said, "That's really beautifully done. You did a really good job here, Harold." And he said, "How dare you judge me?" Because even flattery is a judgment.
It's a judgment.
It's a judgment. It's just packed with those things. So I hope you write more, but if all you wrote was this, that is plenty, because it is fantastic. It's really good.
Thank you so much.
And you're such a great, inspirational and fascinating person to talk to and laugh with that I hope you come back.
I would love to.
You're one of those people who needs to come back.
I would love it.
And we can have more competing analogies.
More soup analogies, bro.
Or we can maybe change it to.
No, I would love it.
Our brains are like, crackers, and yours is a dry Dutch cracker that's got a high seed count. It's very good for your bowels. And I'm like this rich, savory, buttery cracker.
I noticed that all yours are always
they're good.
better than mine.
Oh yeah,
I see a pattern.
Yeah, there's a pattern here. Yeah,
but I think you are one of the fastest, incredible comedy minds ever. That's what I would say to people. What is it like going on there? I said, you know what? I say something, hope it's funny. But if it's not, it doesn't matter because you're like a laser. It's incredible, really incredible.
Coming from you, that's huge. So I get
yes, I mean that. It's unbelievable.
To feel good about myself for an hour. No, there's no higher praise I could get than a compliment from you. So seriously, we all owe you. I mean, but you changed everything for so many of us. And we're lucky that you came along. We really are. I know you say it's a quirk, it's an accident, but you also, and I do think I give it up for quirks and accidents, but there's also integrity and hard work and being a good person, and those things aren't quirks. So that makes it all wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let's never speak again.
All right.
I have a topic I wanted to bring up with you, which is near and dear to my heart because it's been the root of this podcast I've been doing for about 5 years. I get to talk to a lot of, quote, important people that have achieved amazing things. And when I try to get them to talk about the things that they thought of as maybe a disability or a problem when they were younger that helped fuel them, that when they were younger, they desperately wished it would go away. They thought of it as a weakness. But when they look at the span of their life now, they see that actually helped forge them. and I know you've talked about this, but when you were growing up and stuttered, and it must have been the fuel in some ways to have pushed you forward.
Well, when I was a kid.
You've got this problem licked, by the way.
For me, it was, I was really lucky. I had a mother and a father that my mother would say, don't let this define you. Look at me, Joey. You're handsome. You're smart. You're a decent young man. Don't let this define you. It taught me how to fight. There used to be a joke when I was growing up in grade school and high school that, you could beat up Biden, but he'd hurt you going down.
Right.
The point was that it made me realize in our family, this is God's truth, Conan, the four of us, we were never allowed to make fun of anyone, no matter how mean they were to us, if they had something they couldn't overcome.
Right.
Swear to God, if you did, you get your rear end kicked when you went home. Right. Not a joke. And so it taught me that there's a lot of people dealing with dilemmas that take away their pride, their dignity. Yeah. I don't know whether it's the thing that pushed me about like, for example, even though I was a stutterer, I ended up being elected the class president kind of thing. I mean, but it wasn't, I didn't run for that reason. It was something about your dignity and your pride.
Yeah.
It doesn't just manifest itself in terms of an impediment. You can, for example, when we were kids, there were a couple hard times financially for my dad. And I remember being invited to, I was talking this about my sister last night, my best friend, and we were going to a cotillion at Mount Pleasant High School, which was rated the best high school in Delaware, in an area that was not overwhelming, but affluent area. Mm-hmm. And we lived in not bad area, but a less affluent area. Mm-hmm. And I was invited to the cotillion. I went to the Catholic school, St. Helena's in that district. And it was, it was just a little different. I remember being invited, and I was anxious to go. And my mom, I had an uncle who lived with us at the time. He was 5'7", and my mom couldn't find a white shirt for me. And so we got one of his shirts, and with French cuffs on it, and my mother, and it fit loosely, but it fit. My dad had always wore cufflinks to work, and my dad had the cufflinks. We couldn't find it. I didn't know what to do. So my mom goes downstairs over the washing machine in the basement, in the garage level, and gets 2 nuts and bolts and brings them up and puts them on me. And I said, no, swear to God, my word.
Today that's a fashion statement.
And I said, Mom, I can't go. They're going to make fun of me. I said, Joey, if anyone makes fun of you, you turn around and say, you don't have a pair? I swear to God, true, on the health of my children. So I go to the punch bowl, and and this guy Frank grabs me and says, "Hey, look at Biden, nuts and bolts!" And everybody started to laugh, and I said, "Frank, you don't have a pair of these?" I swear to God, He turned and said, "Yeah, I have them. I have them." Anyway,
my theory is that if you stay connected to these things that embarrassed you when you were a kid, whatever it was, speech impediment or anxiety or feeling awkward or not being a good athlete, my list goes on and on and on. Having weird hair, having a weird name.
I wish you had your hair. I'd trade right now if you want.
You want this hair? It comes off. It velcros on the back. Yeah.
If I could do it, I would do it.
I will mail you this wig tomorrow. Do some polling first on how people are going to think about that. But I think what it does is that it gives you empathy. I think empathy comes from a sense, if you've felt that pain, if you see someone else and you sense that maybe they're feeling that pain, you're awakened to it. And that's, I think, the superpower that comes from it is you have...
I'm certain you're right. When I got elected, I was down here hiring staff. I was using Senator Kennedy's office over in the Capitol to interview staff. And I got a phone call from my fire department. They put a young woman on the phone, and she said, there's been an accident. You got to come home December 18th. I wasn't sworn in yet. And he said, there's been your wife is Christmas shop with your kids. My kids were then 13 months old, almost 3 and almost 4. And she was so nervous. She said, they're dead. And I was enraged by it. I remember going out of the Capitol and looking up in the dome. I swear to God, I'm embarrassed about it. And I just screamed and didn't know when my boys were alive. They were badly injured, skull fracture, and a bow at every bone of his body broken. Virtually, he was in a body cast, arms, legs. Anyway, what I learned, though, is that after that, when I'd show up at a friend's viewing, a family viewing, and they'd stop everything. The family would stop, even if they didn't know, and they'd come to me. Just come to me. And I realized what they're really saying is he lost what we lost, and he made it. He's still walking.
Yeah.
People have to know
that you can persevere,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you made it through, they think, well, maybe I can't. Maybe I will. I've spent a lot of time over my career with families that are going through tough times.
Yeah.
Because it gives them some solace. And I want to be clear. I was really lucky.
Yeah.
I had enormous help. By the time I came home, my sister and her husband had given up their apartment and already moved in to help me raise the kids. My brother did. We have an expression in our family, for real. If you have to ask, it's too late. If you have to ask, it's too late. I never had to ask. And think of the people who've gone through the stuff that we're talking about. They're heroes. They get up every day, put one foot in front of the other, and do it by themselves. So I had an enormous advantage dealing with my things I went through.
I try to impart that to my kids, that whatever you're going through, even if you're miserable right now, it's going to yield something later on. Of course, what you're describing is the worst thing anybody can describe. And what they're going through usually is something extremely minor. The scale of it, it's the same principle, which is...
Absolutely. The scale varies, but the help needed.
Can you watch yourself? Are you
Absolutely.
How refreshing.
As much as possible. My God, I'm on a loop in my house. Even on the bathroom and the toilet. No. On the bathroom and the toilet, on the TV in the toilet. I don't even have a TV in the toilet. You can tell because I can't even say that.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's
I'm very comfortable watching myself.
That's
I
great.
like watching my work back for numerous reasons. Particularly on Blackish and stuff, being able to see how something's being shot, what's being covered, what's working, what isn't working. I'm very vain, but I'm not very critical of, particularly with acting. Like I like when my face does weird things. When I watched Candy Cane Lane, my response was, oh, great. My wig didn't look wiggy, and boy, do I make stupid facial expressions. I mean, the camera cuts to me, and I'm like, what the fuck? My face is like, I love how stupid my face is.
You know what's so funny? It feels to me like...
I just love that it does dumb things, and I'm not... Because, you look at some actresses sometimes, and the camera comes back to them, and they're like... and you're like, what is that? What is that? Are you putting mascara on?
Are you embalmed?
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting because I wonder if growing up with such an iconic mom in music and singer, and I mean, it's just, and in movies, if you knew early on, oh, I can be really funny in a way that sets me apart. It's my thing. Does that make sense?
In one sense, it wasn't on purpose. It wasn't a conscious sort of shift. But like when I was 22, my mom said to me, it's time for you to record an album, because I sang all through growing up. And I was like, no way. Like it felt too scary. I don't know that I consciously went towards being funny, but my dad, my personality is like his. He's hilarious. And I loved Carol Burnett and Lucille Ball growing up.
Yep.
And I felt a real kinship with that kind of screwballness and the ability to kind of not care what you look like, which is, I think, because I've never done stand-up, although I really want to. But the ability to kind of have that freedom in your body.
Yes.
But it definitely has been my path, I mean, my name is Joy. My middle name is Joy. I wonder if it's I just came out kind of bubbly.
Right.
But I don't know. It's such an interesting thing. I think I grew up always wanting to be a woman in a sparkly dress on a stage.
And I
Me
got
too.
right. How's that going?
Wrist treatments. It's more expensive than I thought.
It's like skiing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because one of the things you said that I can relate to is one of the things that I've always loved about comedy is there's no vanity. Like I never think about how I'll admit there are some times lately with high def cameras and as I age where I'm like, oh my God. Couldn't someone have told me that half my face rotted off before we shot that thing? But mostly, couldn't they have done some taped that up a little bit before I went out there?
Or put some Vaseline on the screen on the lens?
But mostly, I know that if people like what I'm doing, it's not because they want to break off a chunk of that. They're just, I'm sorry. That's a phrase that's going to stick.
Ride that horse.
I want to ride that horse and then break off a chunk.
Just know. I'm going to have nightmares. Okay, sorry.
Well, that's what I do for women. but I like the surrendering of vanity that goes a lot with comedy.
Love it so much.
And you reference Lucille Ball, and what people often forget and you don't think about it is, you and Lucille Ball are very beautiful women who then do comedy really well. And so there's this thing where Lucille Ball was
so
stunningly glamorous, but felt nothing about, put a prosthetic nose on and let's have it catch fire. Mm-hmm. Or let's have me crying and have my face contorted. Let's have me stuffing chocolates into my mouth as you guys recreated on the Emmys the other night. Like, this is just something that I love is the surrendering all of that. Yeah, sure, I can look amazing if I want to, but I'm doing this right now.
I think there's also for me like a sense of pure freedom where like every choice is yours. And that for me, that it's like literally from my little toe to the hairs on my head get to participate in the thing I'm doing. And I just, and I do love that there's no vanity involved. There really isn't for me. I think the uglier I look, the better I think it is. I think it's funnier when there's a selflessness to how you lean in there. That Lucy bit was, I think,
it was you, Natasha Lyonne, we recreating the chocolate conveyor belt at the Emmys.
I do believe, I literally, before we went on stage, I was like, the little girl in me was jumping up and down. She was like so excited and so excited. And then they forgot the prop of the papers.
Oh.
We had it in every rehearsal. And I was trying to explain because people were like, it was so funny. I was like, but you have to understand, if you understand comedy, if you have nowhere to go, and you have to start at the top, then you can't do the thing you do because there's nothing to work from.
Right.
So it was slapstick. And we went there. It was fine. I went there. I got to tell you guys, an hour later after we took the wig off and the eyelashes, I took the smock thing off. There was a piece of chocolate. It was like it had melted, so it was from up here. It was like from between my boobs down to my like the top of my underwear, and it was just mush chocolate everywhere. And then the caramel was all that was left, so it was just like a piece of caramel on my belly button. It was fantastic. I stuffed a lot of chocolate in my gown, in my little dress. It was dropping out while I was reading the presentation.
Because it has to be, yeah. There's just a trail of chocolate following you wherever you go.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Amy Sedaris, who is also, she's a very attractive person who goes out of her way and has her whole life to tape up her nose, do anything she could, wear old ladies' clothes. She was doing this when she was a kid, and it would drive her mother crazy because her mother was saying, you're an attractive young woman. What are you doing?
My mom would always say, fix your face. Why are you making all those face? Like, I would be telling a story and she would like touch between my eyes and be like, I'm like, I'm trying to tell a story. Sorry, Amy Sedaris.
No, it's the same. Your poor mom. My mom with me, I was constantly contorting my face and doing over the top bits. And she would say, your face is going to freeze that way. It's going to freeze. It's going to freeze. And I thought, well, first of all, that would be cool because I could go through life like,
you know, like, it'd be great if I,
it did freeze that way.
I could work in the circus, and it would just be like, I don't know, it'd be a lot of fun. I wasn't scared of my face freezing, but when I did Over the Top Bitch, she was the, and I think
I have 2 great stories
there's this on this podcast, we never get to great stories. I won't allow it.
No, I'm going to say I have one, but I'm not going to tell it. You guys, I have 2 great fucking stories about them.
Yeah, there's no time. Anyway, so the other day, I'm having this beef stew, and this beef stew,
it had beef in it, you guys.
Had beef in it.
It was
who knew? All right, go. Tell us these. But I mean, we're talking about contorting your faces,
and parents
freaking out.
Mom's responses. So one was, my grandmother used to say that it was Tracy had the 12-year-old, the 10-year-old giggles, the 11-year-old, and then it was just like, okay, they're not going anywhere. Yeah. And so I was just like, I'm getting out of my body, I couldn't get it out. I was like, it's dinner time. And it would drive my sister crazy. Rhonda was like, oh my God. And my mom was like, Tracy, would you like to go outside and get the giggles out? And I would be like, I would like to go outside and get the giggles out. So I would go out of the door, the sliding glass door outside dinner. My family's in there just eating dinner. And I'm out like bouncing outside the door. And I'm like, and I'd come back in and I'd be like, she'd be like, did you get him out? I'd be like, I don't know. No, I think there's more. And I'd go back out, go back. So that's one story. And the poor mom, trying to do her best. Little Diana Ross sitting there like, oh my God, I made a problem child. So then the other is, when I moved out here to LA, my mom is Diana Ross, just for reference on this story. I take full responsibility for her career. Anyway.
You made her.
I did. If it weren't for me, I don't know, those Supremes. Ain't no mountain high enough. What? The boss? Who knew? No one. None of it. Central Park concert? That was my idea.
That was your idea.
Anyway, so when I moved out here to LA, I had my version of no money. So I'm just going to be honest. My version of no money was like, I had my mom's credit card. I was living in a beautiful apartment, but I had no cash. Okay. So I used to do things that I could do with the credit card. Like I would ask people if they wanted me to get them gas, or like at dinner, I'd be like, I'll pay, give me the cash. Like I was like an ATM, right?
Yep.
So I made a video, a DVD. At the time, it was a VHS video of me doing all my characters, because I used to tell stories as these different people. So I dressed up in all these different, there was Madame Hiver, who I still do. There was Susie Sushi. There was Broadway Girl, who was singing an improv Christmas holiday song. All this stuff. And then I old school edited it together, and I sent out 52 videos to everyone in my world saying happy holidays. And at the end of it, it said no judgment, happy holidays. And it was me like doing a ridiculous, it was insane. I go home for Christmas and my mom's like, can we talk? And I was like, yeah, what's up? Let's go to my room. Oh, shit. You know, if your mom wants to bring you to the room. So we sit down on the edge, on the side of her bed. She's sitting next to me. She was like, how many of those She was so serious. How many of those videos did you send out? I said 52. And she was like, can we get them back? I was like, what? No. I think she literally was like, this is a comment on my parenting. Like, I failed my child. And she has sent out like a calling card of like the failed parenting.
Oh my God.
She later understood, but I do think it was a little bit like, what have I done?
Like he was going to end up on Inside Edition of what is Diana Ross doing to her children?
Her children. Yes. Like the other ones are fine.
To do 35 characters.
Try dancing for her wares.
One Key is a travel awards program designed for anyone who goes anywhere. Wow, that's a large group. Use and earn One Key rewards on Expedia, Hotels.com, and Vrbo. So you can earn One Key cash on a cruise, then use it on an eligible vacation home. Yeah, you'll start saving as soon as you join. Take a flight, pick a rental car, stay 3 nights in a hotel, and get to Silver Tier in a single trip. And Silver, Gold, and Platinum members get extra perks like room upgrades, where available, and free breakfast. Oh man, that's my favorite breakfast. Unlock rewards on your next trip with One Key. Rewards on any way you travel.
It's been a while, but you remember we used to listen to voicemails from people that would call in and we'd answer their questions?
Yes, back in olden times.
Yeah, well, we don't have any today. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Our system for collecting voicemails has failed us.
What?
And now we have a brand new phone number.
Wait, first of all,
yeah.
How long has this been going on for, and why wasn't I made aware?
It's been going on for a while.
What kind of shitty organization do we have here?
Oh, a shitty one.
Okay. Of the shitty ones, this is the shittiest. I'm just curious. Have people been trying to leave messages and they couldn't?
I believe they either couldn't or we couldn't retrieve them because it had something to do with us leaving an old network that we used to belong to and, changing companies.
Is it possible that people have been leaving messages out there for us and we haven't been getting them?
It's possible.
That's terrible.
In fact, I'd say it's likely.
That's awful. I feel badly. What if people were really needing us or needing our help?
The number just got disconnected. People have not been leaving messages that we haven't retrieved.
Blay, you're killing the drama.
Oh, this is drama?
I'm going to shut up.
No, Blay, I'm glad.
No, cut this
Was
part.
this supposed to be-
don't cut it.
supposed to be dramatic?
No, don't cut it. That's actually good information.
I didn't mean to ruin the drama.
That's actually good information for me to have because it would kill me if people were leaving us messages. I have a need to please. So, Blay, I'm glad you grabbed the mic in your Hawaiian shirt and told us.
Well, it's got flowers on it. And not every flowered shirt is a Hawaiian shirt.
He's right.
Now you can cut this part out.
No. Sorry, Jerry Garcia. I didn't. I'm sorry. Maybe it isn't a Hawaiian shirt.
But no, sorry. I don't mean to kill the drama.
I hope you can get the band back together. You guys were really grooving there for a while. I am glad. And stop telling us what we can cut and can't cut. We're going to leave this all in.
Okay.
People need to know what a stumblebum you are.
I'm sorry. Anyway, don't worry. No messages were left that you don't know about. It just the number just doesn't
failed
exist.
a long time ago and no one did anything about it.
Yes.
I mean, there are messages that the listeners don't know about because I would say 1 out of every 50,000 is usable.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a terrible thing to say. Why?
Well, they're just sometimes raving lunacy on there. And I'm not even joking.
Well, wait a minute. Maybe my father's in trouble.
But maybe we should talk about some tips for the listener because we have a new phone number.
Oh, we've got a new number.
That if you want to get your voicemail on the podcast, here are some tips.
Yes,
We can talk about how...
We have tips?
Well, I could think of a few.
Okay.
Yeah. First of all, should we read the number and then we'll read it again?
I'll read the number.
Okay.
If you want to contact us, or if you're a raving lunatic that wants to scream into the void, call 669-587-2847. That number again, 669-587-2847.
Keep it concise, keep it friendly, keep it fun. Those are my tips.
You know what? I'm going to guess that anyone who was calling and leaving angry, insane messages, I think your tip's probably going to change their mind. Gourley, I just heard it. You don't want me to call and yell into the phone anymore about the spaceman and the dragon in my ass. Best not call that number then. I'll try it again. Hello, how are you? I'm an Aries. I'm curious what sign you guys are. Yeah, that message will do no, but your little tips will do no good.
I thought we could also, because Sona's going to leave the outgoing message.
Oh, I am?
We can just do that right now and listeners can hear it and then we'll take that and we'll use it.
Yeah, let's use it. Sona, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey, you called us. And this is why are you giving me the phone number?
So you can say it.
Hi, but they called the number to get to the voicemail.
Right. You're just congratulating them that they got it right.
Hi, you called this number and you heard a dial tone. Not a dial. You heard the beep and then you're leaving a message.
Keep it concise.
Keep it concise.
And friendly.
And friendly.
Say your name.
Say your name. And hey, you might hear your message on the podcast. And we will get back to you as soon as we can. No, we're not going to get back to them. Are we going to get back to them?
This is the worst outgoing message I've ever heard. This is, I think, the worst outgoing message in the history of the world.
When you tell me to do something like this, it gets me very nervous.
I forgot Sona's personal little quirk is that if you give her a task, she's terrible.
Thank you for calling.
I mean, people will say like, "Oh, you guys were the Fish of hip hop, or the Grateful Dead of hip hop," but it's like we were dependable and responsible.
Yeah.
So our job was to stand by in the waiting room. It was good survival, but it really wasn't conducive for like having a steady relationship.
Yeah.
There are kids in the factor now, and so we around like 2009, it was sort of like, man, we wish like a Celine Dion situation would happen that would
a residency.
Yeah, a
You
residency.
want a residency.
We just got to the mountaintop of like making good money, like we finally made it. And it's like, do we just turn our back on this and try something unproven? And we did it for us. That was what we needed to actually bond and be friends again.
Yeah.
There was a moment. I know I'm loquacious. Give me a safe word like pineapple or something if I'm talking too much. Like I see you're turning maroon right now.
I'm good.
That's his normal color.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's just me. When you see, those are called veins in my head.
Okay.
That's how white I am.
So there's a moment that happened around 2006, maybe 3 years before we did Fallon, and we're on tour with the Chili Peppers, and it's a European tour, and they're playing like soccer stadium. I'm sorry, post Lasso football stadiums.
Right.
And it's like 80,000 to 120,000 a night. And every 3 to 4 songs, those guys get into sort of a football magic circle huddle. And by the 4th time they do this, I'm thinking like, oh, they're going to call an audible and change up the set list. And then they go back to their instruments. And then I have the set list in my hand. I'm like, wait, they didn't change anything. They didn't change the arrangement. So I'm waiting like days down the line, like, why do they keep having these little meetings every like 5 songs and nothing changes from what I know the show to be? It's like muscle memory. I see Flea in catering, and I'm like, dude, what are you guys talking about when you go into that huddle? And Flea's like, yo, man, it's like, I don't know, man. We're so full of gratitude. Like we're just 4 guys that, we met each other when we were 13, and we're in the da-da-da stadium with 120,000 people, and we're just showing gratitude to each other. Like, guys, we really made it. So this is 2006. I'm not evolved yet as a human being. So I get on the tour bus, and I'm like, yo, man, them motherfuckers just like hippie shit like, oh, we're so happy to be amongst, like I'm really just like, being dismissive of it. Like, that's what they're doing. And my manager's like, yeah, well, makes sense. Like, yeah, I can see that because they like each other. That's cool. I was like, yeah, So I go back and start playing plays. Wait, what do you mean they actually like each other? And he's like, I see that. They actually, it's not like a Goodfellas thing, like, what do you mean I'm funny? But it was sort of like, well, what do you mean they actually like each other? Like, why'd you say actually? He's like, you see the chemistry. Like, they fuck with each other. I can see that. And I was like, as opposed to what? He's like, come on, man. And I was like, as opposed to what? He's like, come on, man. Don't make me spell it out. I said, what? He said, man, y'all don't fuck with each other. Y'all just show up. Maybe y'all come to sound check. Y'all show up at backstage. Y'all do it off memory. You're the one that named the tour buses Gryffindor and Slytherin. Like, it's like, you got your own separate tour buses. Y'all don't spend the night at each other's houses. Y'all ain't friends. Y'all just business partners. He's like, it's cool. Like, keep the peace.
That's funny that you didn't know. You didn't know.
Well, I thought, look, by that point, we had known we met in 87, and it's now 2007. Like, it's 20 years later. Like, what do you mean we're not friends? And then I realized, oh, shit, we're really not friends. Like, we're just, like, 9 strangers that just play the same songs every night, and that's it. And so what wound up happening at Fallon is Jimmy has a way of disarming you. Mm-hmm. And I'll say, at least for the first 6 years, like we were 13-year-olds. We were 13-year-olds in adults' bodies doing, we could do silly things and not feel like, like, oh, we're going to lose our street cred because we're doing silly shit. There's a moment when Jimmy officially pitched us, and we're doing like some spring fling at UCLA or something. And I'm quasi spokesperson for the group. And so I had to do an interview like with a college paper or something. So I went to the trailer, did my interview, came back 20 minutes later, and we're on UCLA's football field. And Jimmy, all right, this is going to be my worst reference. And I'm in my head like, please don't say this reference.
Can we just take a guess around the table what this is going to be?
You go first.
Wait, I'll give you a hint. No, I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
Willie Ames.
Oh, Zapped? Or
Charles good one.
Zapped?
God damn, you're good.
Zapped?
This is why Matt's the man.
Yeah, Zapped, the movie where Scott Baio can make people's bras fly off.
It's either that or Charles in Charge or Bible Man.
No, where he first started, which was Eight is Enough.
Oh, okay.
So Jimmy somehow has talked the Roots into doing an 8-man human pyramid. Period.
A human period I don't know as much about. Anyone want to weigh in?
Oh God,
I guess stick with pyramid.
I have to. Okay.
Yeah, so they're doing a human pyramid, and it wouldn't have fazed me more, but Tariq and I are such polar opposites of each other by this point. Tariq is one of those $5,000 Japanese denim wearing fashionistas.
Yeah.
Of which I was like, yo, he's really on the bottom row on his knee. Like he's ruining his denim. He would never do this. He's one of those Jesus Christ, not spot nor wrinkle. Meanwhile, I will go to the White House with mustard stains on my tux. And I looked at my manager and I was just like, we're not getting rid of this guy anytime soon, right? And my manager was just like, we're stuck with him. Like literally, Jimmy would not let up until we committed to him, and he just did it. And so what I'll say is now the amount of being in the gym on that show has actually made us friends again.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like even though this is our 30th year as a band, I really feel like it's like our 7th year.
I've heard you talk in interviews, especially lately, because of 80 for Brady and a bunch of your recent films, that comedy came to you late. First of all, you're hilariously funny. I thought Cat Ballou, that's a fantastic comedy. That was your, I think, first big hit, and you were funny then. Why was it a surprise to you later on that you were adept?
If somebody is writing funny dialogue for me, and the setup is funny, I can be funny.
Yeah.
I'm naturally kind of depressed. My dad, my mom suffered from depression, but I have spent 80 years trying to get over that. And, I've really worked hard to not be a depressed person, but I'm basically earnest. I can tell when I'm sitting with Lily, somebody will come up and ask us a question and she will automatically answer something that is hysterical.
Yeah.
And I'm going to answer the question. You know what I mean? Just plain Jane.
Well, wait a minute.
You know who really helped me?
Who?
Ted. Spending 10 years with Ted, who is hysterical.
Ted Turner's a funny man.
Oh, my God, he is funny. And outrageous.
Yeah.
And I saw it's okay to be outrageous.
Yeah.
And that really helped me.
He seems to not care what anybody else is thinking.
He's like a sieve. It just all comes out. But his take on life is just like Lily's, is inherently funny.
I just think it's unfair to you to say, I don't think I'm gifted in comedy because when I'm sitting next to Lily Tomlin, it's you're grading yourself on this crazy scale. Yes, Lily Tomlin is one of the greats.
In the stratosphere.
Well, yeah, she's in the stratosphere, but you walked into our podcast building and had the room laughing right away. And so,
It's because of Ted Turner. No, it is.
Okay, all right. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
it is.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. We, for years on my show, when I moved to Turner Network, because it was Turner Network, we had a very talented actor from Saturday Night Live, portray Ted Turner. He'd come in to give me advice on a stuffed buffalo.
Will Forte.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just didn't want to. I don't want Turner to go after Will Forte. I want him just coming after me. No, I'm kidding. He would come in and go, yeah, and give me all this advice, and the crowd always loved it. And I thought, someday I'm going to walk out in the parking lot, and Ted Turner is going to pistol whip me, and then ride off on his stuffed buffalo.
He has the largest private herd of buffalo in the world. He brought back the bison. Actually, that's the way that they're called.
I don't see how I compete with these other men that you've had in your life.
I don't think you do.
Okay,
I think
all right,
just
thanks,
accept
guys.
defeat.
Sorry. Accept defeat gracefully.
No, nobody can compete with Ted.
It sounds like it. I thought the buffalo thing was a bit, but it's not.
No, he has.
That's incredible.
Since he was a child, he's been obsessed with bison, and he's grown a herd. He had 10,000 when I married him, and now, he buys property. He's got a couple of million acres in order to grow his bison herd.
It's amazing.
Wow. I had heard that.
You heard that.
I heard
about the herd. You heard about the herd.
I heard about the herd.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, that's a well-known fact.
I'm sorry.
You should
I don't know anything.
Do a little reading, Sona.
He has 2 million acres.
Oh my!
And he has gone about bringing back endangered, not just mammal species, but insects and plants.
Wow.
Biologists live on all his properties, and they bring back species. It's amazing what he's done.
Because the buffalo was more or less extinct.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how many heads of buffalo there are in the U.S. now, but the fact that you can
You
eat
looked
it.
at me like I would know.
Because you're always weighing in with these facts.
Oh, am I?
Eduardo's looking it up.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Bison.
Feed it to me, Eduardo, like I knew.
Yeah. What a waste of our time with Jane looking up buffalo facts.
I know.
So what's next? Because you are a real inspiration.
I'm going to the Gulf, Louisiana and Texas, which is kind of the ground zero for the climate crisis.
Right.
The Biden administration has permitted 24 new gas terminals in places where people are dying from cancer and heart disease and lung disease because of the proximity of petrochemical plants and there's even a place called Cancer Alley in Louisiana, but there's all these new efforts to drill and frack more. Okay. And this is a no-no. Science is very clear. We can't completely do away with fossil fuels yet, but we can gradually phase them out.
Yep.
But we have to stop any new drilling and fracking, and we don't need new drilling and fracking except to get those guys richer than they already are.
Right.
We don't need to do that anymore, and we have to stop the Biden administration from doing this. So I'm going to try to go there with Fire Drill Fridays and interview and film people who are dealing with this on the ground and then, build it up as an issue.
Can I ask you how many times you've been arrested? Do you know?
I think 7. That's not a lot. Martin Sheen's been arrested 70 times. It's called civil
But only some of that
disobedience.
was for activism. He's always punching people for no reason. And
No, not the son, the father.
You're right. I'm sorry, I got confused with Charlie for a second. Yeah.
But Charlie's okay now.
Yeah, he's doing fine.
Yeah, he's doing great.
fine. Well, this has been, we've been doing this, how long have we been doing this podcast?
Oh,
I don't
4
know.
years?
5 years, almost 5.
This is a huge highlight for me. It's an absolute.
Thank you. For me too.
This, boy. I'm really blown away. We were all so excited that you were coming here today, and you've been a big part of my life. I mean, I adore your work, and then you walk in today, and you are stunning. You are so beautiful and so funny and so smart. Well, I'd like your people. They need to work on me because
No, you're doing just fine.
We'll work it out. Yeah, I got to do it. Maybe I should release an exercise video.
Oh,
yes,
gosh.
please.
Just me getting up and then sitting back down again.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not going to happen. Jane, thank you so much for doing this.
If I ever did a new video, would you do it with me?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yes, I would.
I'm going to take you up on it.
Yes. I will find a very clingy unitard.
Yes.
Settle down, Gourley.
I've got
Of course
mixed
I would.
feelings.
Yeah. It will hurt your sales tremendously.
Yeah.
But we'll get some.
Wouldn't.
No.
You're very popular.
Well, thank you.
Wait till this comes out.
Jane, thank you so much.
Thank you,
This is an
Conan.
honor. Thank
I appreciate you having me on.
Wow.
Goodbye to all your listeners. JanePack.com is how you can join me in my climate work.
JanePack.com. Do that now.
obviously getting this late night gig, which is so different than your show because it's like a fake game show and it's, like a reimagining of At Midnight. And there were a lot of people because we did so much press after it was announced before we were actually doing the show. And so I did all these interviews where people like weren't totally sure what it was, or like a lot of people online when it came out were like, we thought this was a talk show and CBS screwed Taylor Tomlinson. And I'm like, we were never doing a talk show, everybody. Like I tour on the weekends. Like I'm not going to do a show Monday through Friday. It's funny because people keep saying like, oh, it's your show. And I'm like, it's really not. Like this is like, if anything, our show. Like it's such a great team of people. And it's why I wanted to do the show because I wanted to like have these coworkers. It was like, I'm like, I want to have fun with all these people and make a new thing every day. But like, they were asking me questions like, so when you designed the set, I'm like, I designed the set. And they're like, when you're booking the show, I'm like, I don't book the show. They're like, well, when you hired the writers, I'm like, I didn't hire the writers and I want them to like me so bad. I'm like, I'm like, I can't take credit for anything about this show. I don't dress myself. Like, I show up, someone does my hair and makeup, they put me in clothes. I'm like an American Girl doll that they just kind of cart around. Like, I'm like, everyone on that show, I think, probably has a harder job than I do.
First of all, there's so many things I can relate to, which is I was the same age as you when I started my show. And yeah, they were very different shows, but it's still that thing of, I remember first of all, your experience was doing stand-up, which is very solitary. And the thing I always wanted was I wanted a pirate ship with my fellow pirates. I always wanted that. And I had it in ways when I worked on Saturday Night Live or The Simpsons. I loved that we're all in this together, but it wasn't my pirate ship. And then I just loved having these people and like you, got these writers, and I just so wanted them, because no one knew who I was, I wanted them to think I was funny, the writers. So I would do bits for them all the time. I worked harder trying to make the writers laugh than on anything for the show, because I really wanted those people to think that, oh yeah, no, he's okay. He's all right. Which was so screwy because I was supposedly the host of the show.
Right.
But I understand that wanting to be, or how nice it is to have a group. It must feel good after all that time on the road where it's just you and a microphone.
Yeah. And also like, I don't know if you felt this way. I mean, you were using cue cards, right?
Yep.
Okay. We have a teleprompter. It's like a little computer and they type out. It's like a cue card, but it's
like some
machine.
Kind of, like a machine.
Yeah.
I never had a teleprompter ever.
Never?
No, because we changed things too much at the last second, and so we always did cards. And so we
changed things in the teleprompter.
It's easier to just type it in, right?
Yeah.
Jesus, they lied to me. They said, well, that'll can't happen on a prompter. I think it was they just didn't want to buy one. It was NBC and then Turner. They just didn't want to buy a prompter.
Yeah, because I still have my Conan cue card because they give it to you when you do a late night show, which was very nice.
We want it back, by the way. Those things aren't cheap.
Well, now I know how hard it was. They're like, we got to cut a whole new one because you don't like that line.
Every time we wrote a new joke, a tree fell in the forest somewhere.
When I did like the screen test and everything, and even when I started doing the show, everyone's like so impressed when you can read a teleprompter to a point where I was like, do people think I'm dumb? Like, I know I didn't finish college, but not like you, I didn't finish Harvard. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
and I studied telepromptering.
Yeah. But everyone was just like, it's really hard. Some people don't know how to read teleprompters. And I was like, okay, like I'll take any credit you'll give me. But this was, again, I was like so nervous about it. I was practicing reading teleprompters on TikTok. Local news anchors will do like, now for a teleprompter challenge. And so I was just reading like 5-car pileup on today's freeway, like, but in a funny way. I'm like, pretend like it's the show. And they're like, let's see how fast you can read it.
There's all these little things, and then there's the big thing.
Yeah.
So there's all the little things that, yes, that I think anyone can learn. It just takes a little time, but you just learn the stuff about getting new information, getting information off a card or off a prompter, and which cameras are where and where your single is. Those are things I think that anyone can pick up. And then there's the much bigger thing, which is how to be you in a very strange environment. I've always thought that is the thing that no one's thinking about is the advice you get, and the advice, this is the biggest name drop of all time for my generation anyway, but just before I started, I got to meet Johnny Carson, and he knew that I was going to be taking over the late night show, and he said, just be yourself. And I was like, okay. And then I did the show for a couple of months and no one liked it. And I always pictured that Johnny Carson would call me and say, I didn't know that was you.
Have you tried being me?
Could you maybe find someone else to be me? But I always realized that it's more complicated than just be yourself, because it's just be yourself in the most artificial environment in the world, which is 3, 2, 1, and Taylor, go.
Yeah.
And prompter and lights and music. And okay, now we're going to these people and this is going to happen. And it just took me a long time to realize, oh, this is the skill, is I need to figure out how can I just be this person that I am. I didn't want to be a fake person. I wanted to be a real person, but in a freakish environment.
Yeah.
And that's what those things are.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I say to the live audience we have in studio sometimes, because I'll be like playing off the comedians we have on the show, and then I have to go to the next game, which is me reading the teleprompter. And so we're like, oh yeah, it's great. And then I go, all right, I have to go back into teleprompter again. And I know it's going to feel jarring to just be like, and yeah, totally. And we know each other. In today's internet news, and it just feels so, but you're like, okay, just everyone I know too, and it's gonna cut together great. Like, just It's very strange, and figuring out how to deliver jokes I didn't write, because I'm just not used to that. I've been writing my own jokes for like 10 years, 14 years on the road, and like that is me. So it's not hard to be myself on stage doing stand-up. But yeah, in this environment, like it is very easy to read jokes that were written for me by a room full of very funny people. But yeah, it's also hard to deliver them in a way that feels authentic.
I'm thinking of your famous joke. I want you to do it, but I went into a restaurant that said they serve breakfast anytime.
So I ordered French toast during the Renaissance.
That's just like, I have always had this theory that a good joke actually has weight, like the way an element does. Like you can almost feel the weight of it in the palm of your hand.
It's fascinating, the details of it all. You know, not connected to time. But that French toast joke, that was one of the only jokes I ever adjusted. Because usually when I think of something, then I think of the wording, bang, 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 and then that's it. It's never changed. But that joke, it wasn't the Renaissance. It was something else. Mm-hmm. I don't remember. It was another reference to time.
Right.
But it wasn't the Renaissance. And then I thought, well, I'll change it to the Renaissance. And then you connect the French, it connects more.
Yes.
So it's just like, it's fascinating, the details.
But what was your method? Would you sit and like, I mean, I'm fascinated by how people do it. Do you sit with a legal pad, typewriter? What were you doing? I mean, and you think I'm making a joke with typewriter. I actually do write stuff on a typewriter because I have some old typewriters, and I just love the mechanism of it, and I love the kind of. I think I think a little harder when I'm working on a typewriter, because it's being put on paper and it feels a little more formal.
It's more of a physical combination of thing rather than a computer.
Yeah.
There's an physical effort. In the first 6 months, I would get the newspaper out and look through it and see if something would click, like to find a joke. But then after like 6 or 8 months, my mind became, because it's all based on what you notice, right?
Yeah,
all the comedy is noticing.
Mm-hmm.
So my mind just became noticing. I didn't no longer look at the paper. It was just like you go out and you just notice. And it was like one of my favorite jokes I ever did. Was I was looking through the paper and I saw electrolysis. An ad for electrolysis. Mm-hmm. And I thought, what a word. the sound of that word is interesting and what it means is interesting. So then my mind later came up with I lived in a building, they allowed pets, and I had a pony. I had a Shetland pony named Nicky, and he was involved in a bizarre electrolysis accident. All the hair was removed except for the tail. Now I rent him out to Hare Krishna family picnics. But, I drew a lot. Before growing elementary school, high school, drawing and painting, before I ever wrote anything. And when you draw something, you notice, realistically, I changed to abstract in my 20s, but before that, it was real. Like, so you really notice stuff. Like, if you're gonna draw this glass in this bottle, the shape of the glass and the shape of the bottle, but the shape in between it is also a shape. Yeah. And that helps you get it accurate, to make it look real. And I think that exercised my noticing abilities, like, because it's just like all the comedy is from noticing. In the tower in the airport, the tower they have with the radar.
Yeah.
So the radar sweeps like this, and then there's little dots of the planes. So my subconscious was scanning. I'm not walking down the street. I need another joke. I need a new joke. Right. I'm just walking down the street, but the scan is going like this, and it would just see something, a word or something. I'm going, doot, doot, doot.
That's something.
Yeah, that could be something.
I know that you're into music and you're a musician, and I think there's such a connection between comedy and music. What I've always heard is when I read about great songwriters, they just say that they're doing the same thing. They're scanning and something hits them. And I think and it can be anything, but they're reading the paper and then they see a story. And
especially when you get doing it enough where you're making a living, even if you're just barely paying the rent, you're making a living from the comedy, $100 a week. That's 300, 400 pays the rent, and even less than that. So you have time. You don't have to go somewhere and do this. So you're wandering around, like a 4-year-old. You're just wandering. And to me, what you just said, the world is made up of it's a giant mosaic painting. It's little tiny fragments that make up everything. And he's like, here's that guy died, and that's a tiny thing, and I've noticed things where I combine, this could be connected. This thing that has nothing to do with this does have a common denominator, maybe in the word or something. And then you combine. I'm not thinking when I make it up. I'm not going I'm not doing what I just said to you.
No. It's happening. It's happening.
It's like, that could mean that, and it's bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, it's really cracks me up that my dad's a scientist, and he said once that he's not a good one. He's a shitty scientist. We don't even think he has a degree. He just walks around with a microscope that he found.
A microscope that he found?
Yeah, and he tied it, he wore it around his neck like Mr. T with a medallion. And he said, I'm a scientist. And then he'd just hang out at the train station all day.
At the train station?
Yeah, eat grilled cheese sandwiches. We were like, he's a scientist. But he said, the job of your brain, the thing that's happened in evolution that's supposed to keep us alive is our brain making connections that make sense. Like, I've got a fire here and I've got meat here. When I cook the meat, it actually tastes a little better. I'm going to start doing that. And I think there's something with the comedians I really admire, like you, there's almost something, a miswiring that wouldn't work in evolution, but we're connecting things that shouldn't be connected. And my dad once said to me, and I've said it before, but he looked at me once and he said, it's interesting, because he's very honest and he's also very smart. And he said, you're making your living off of something that probably should be treated. And I realized he's not wrong.
That's hilarious.
It's taking, you can have breakfast anytime, or, the electrolysis joke. You're taking things and putting them together, and they live on completely different synapses that aren't supposed to cross. They're not supposed to be touching each other.
Yes.
But something's either wrong or right in a beautiful way, and that's what happens.
Somehow you see a connection.
Flash forward, I go and do The Simpsons, and it's too hard to explain, but all these crazy things happen. It's really the equivalent of me being in a cornfield and getting hit by a meteor, but all these things happen where suddenly they say, hey, you're gonna replace David Letterman, the guy you idolize, who I said many times cannot be replaced. I said it's impossible to replace him, so I pity the guy who replaces him. I'm on record saying that.
And I was salivating to replace him.
Yeah.
We had totally different dreams because he was hired to produce this show.
Yeah.
But his dream was not that. Like you say, you did Happy, Happy, Good Show, and you were always the funniest guy in the room at SNL. And I was more like, broody Tom Jonovich, just brooding writer.
Right.
But my dream was my hero was like Sylvester Pat Weaver, the guy who created the Today Show and the Tonight Show. I think
that's the saddest thing I've ever heard anybody say.
I was a pathetic nerd. Blair understands.
Did you have a big poster of Pat Weaver?
I do understand.
He understands. No, I would go to the Museum of Broadcasting or whatever, radio and television, and revel in these old, like Dave Garroway talking to a chimp on the Today Show in the 50s. And
no, you were ready to, but what was interesting is, so they said to me, okay, you're going to do this. And I said it then, I say it now. I said, I can do this if I do it with Robert.
Yeah.
I said, I can do this if I do it with Robert Smigel, but I can't do it if it's not with Robert Smigel. And
I don't think I ever heard that. I know you told me you wanted me to do it.
I know. I didn't tell you I wanted you to do it. I said you have to do it. And then I remembered there was stuff about, Robert's contract, we're not sure. And I was...
Lauren just didn't want me to leave.
No, I know. But I was yelling at NBC, give him take stuff from me and give it to, we have to do this together, because I knew then I had a shot. And
that's very nice.
And it's true. And we don't get self-conscious because I'm complimenting you. Take the paper away. That's my job. But anyway, and then immediately we had very little time to put the show together. I mean, it stuns me now that I think by the time I was done doing the affiliates dance and everything, I think it was June, and the show had to be on the air in September 13th of 1993. It's June, and there's just a big empty space where Dave's studio was, and we had no writers, we had nothing.
Right.
But I knew Robert and I will go, and we worked we didn't sleep. We worked like crazy all summer long.
It was the best. It was my dream job, and I was working with you. It was just like the best guy I could work with. And I have to confess, when he first told me, and you know this, you remember the conversation, I'm sure. When you first told me Lauren wants me to audition, there was a part of me that was like scared.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, guess what? Me too. But I'll remember this very clearly. You were like, "Gee, I don't know," because it's
hard. That's a hard way to break into show business. That's what I said.
If you, it's going to be hard for anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, the only person it wouldn't have been hard for is, I think, Gary Shandling. Gary Shandling was a name they were banking on, and if he had done it, it would have been absolutely brilliant from day one.
Of course,
because he's Gary Shandling. But everyone else would have taken some knocks for not being Dave.
Right.
But I was going to take a lot of knocks because complete unknown and no experience. And I remember so clearly, I remember where I was. I was living in this little apartment on Weatherly. And I had in this tiny little nook, I had a phone and a phone machine back when you had a phone machine. And I'm talking to you and you're sort of saying, they're thinking maybe I should audition because they're looking for the right person. And Lauren said, he's got a look and maybe, and Conan's funny. He's a look and he's very polite and he's got the hair and the funny first name and maybe that's a thing. And so,
and he'll be cheap.
And trust me, you'll get him for nothing. And so
my salary, non-negotiable. And just because I'm saying you're going to save money on him, not me.
So I remember talking to you, and you were rightly.
I was shumbly.
You were shumbly. You were saying, "Yeah, I don't know." And then in the background, I heard like a Charlie Brown parent voice go, "Mom, mom, mom, mom." And I said, what was that? And you said, that was Michelle.
Yeah.
Because, your wife and not wife at the time, girlfriend at the time, I think.
Yes,
and you said, and she said, wow, 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 wow. And I said, what's she saying? And she's saying, and you said, Michelle said, he's got nothing to lose.
Right.
And then you said, I think that's kind of true. Like, why not? What? I mean, and then of course I thought, I guess I could be a national joke. But
that was the fear the first year.
The fear was the first year was who's the famous national joke.
But I have to say also that so then I did hesitate a tiny bit. And I just it was like a few hours. I was like, wow, man, I don't know, man, if he can do it. He's never been on TV. And then I just thought to myself, so we both love performing. And I got to do a few things on Weekend Update. I did, and Conan was already with The Simpsons. And I just remembered this guy helped me for hours with my stupid Weekend Update feature, The Moron's Perspective. And I'm like, I'm hesitating? It's the fucking asshole. And I called you back and I was like, yeah, I mean, this is my buddy. I never once celebrated. I audition, they think about it, and then they give it to me and never, I was always scared. And always filled with the sense of responsibility. And here it is now, over 30 years later. Yeah. And I have never once, I don't think I celebrate anything. I mean, I don't, but I just was always like, well, we'll see. We'll see. Exactly. And still now I'm 60 and I'm going, we'll see.
Oh, boy.
We'll see. We'll see how it happens. But I think it was appropriate not to celebrate getting that show because it was not like getting cast in an amazing role. It felt to me in a very Catholic way, like this is a test and you're going to have to walk through hell. And then that's what happened.
That is what happened. But I remember, so then he had that audition, which was incredible. I mean, I guess it was, and then I asked him about it and he said, well, I had nothing to lose. And he was in front of, I don't know how many people were in that room.
I don't know. It was a
tiny.
No, it was a good size. I don't know.
100 people, maybe.
Yeah.
And he interviewed Jason Alexander and Mimi Rogers, and his Mimi Rogers interview was just professional, hysterical. And then I just turned on a dime. I was like, this guy's going to be enormous. And then he was so funny and hilarious. When we assembled writers, we all got incredibly overconfident.
Yes.
We're like, everybody's going to have a pompadour within 6 months. I really believe this. I was like, everybody's going to want to have long, skinny pants. And I was positive. And so, but
everyone's going to want to have kind of ambivalent, ambiguous gender.
It was a good
He's kind of a guy, but also just a little bit of a girl.
No, but for he stayed nervous, but the rest of us were so confident. And it was great because it made us try everything. We were fearless. We tried every idea. And obviously some went to shit, but it's still the proudest achievement of my whole career, easily, is how much stuff we did generate.
If you look at the first 2 years, that's the thing that I'm stunned. Well, even if you looked at the first 3 weeks,
there's so much material that you did forever on the late night show.
We did the Clutch Cargo in the year 2000, the actual items. There's so many things but then we kept we never stopped trying to try new things.
Yes.
And I remember people used to who were in the business would say, I mean, I remember even David Letterman saying that's insane. Because we were basically trying to do Saturday Night Live every night.
Yes, which is
impossible. And then finally you could smell the smoke of the gears grinding.
Yes.
People going insane, no one's sleeping.
It's funny because so many, I think I've told you this story. So in and it was, a lot of it stemmed from people on the staff who just didn't believe in us. Some people really believed, like Frank's back there and Paula but then, so in 1999 or 2009, I visited the Fallon set. And because back then when we did it, people were like, it's every night live we're doing over here. And I visited the Fallon set and everybody was all perky and happy. And they were doing really ambitious shit when he first started in late night. They were doing all these detailed film pieces. And literally, crew member said to me, it's like every night live.